Good morning. I wanted to leave you all with this interesting thought today in the hopes that it might help you with a bit of perspective and help you to heal in some areas that have been long since ready to be healed. And the revelation came from a literal place that I needed healing. You see, I recently obtained an abrasion on my left shin that I got from running into an open dresser drawer, and so I did the usual things, putting medication on it, covering it up with a bandage and things like that to get it to heal. And because of the fact that I'm a diabetic, there's always a worry with diabetics that, you won't heal properly or it will take a long time for you to heal because of, blood sugars and things of that nature. So I've been, since I've obtained this abrasion, I've been looking for evidence that the wound is healing fine and that it's not, festering or any of those other things. And I've noticed day by day that the evidence that the wound is healing just fine is the fact that the wound is closing up. It seems to be a little more closed as the days go by. As I feel for it, I can feel it's just a little bit more narrow than it was the day before. And that's the indication that the wound is healing and that it's getting better. And so today, as I felt on the wound and noticed that it was a little bit closed, more closed than before, I believe the Lord began to minister to me about this thing. You see, we often face things in our life that cause us pain, that rub us the wrong way, that causes abrasions in our lives, sore places, wounds that never seem to heal. And these sore places, they cause us to react to people, react in relationships in various ways, and sometimes not the most healthy or fruitful. Much like the abrasion on my leg. If I come in contact with something else, whether I run into something or whether somebody touches it, or even if I touch it myself, I kind of grimace and ouch or something to that effect, because why? This thing is still sore. It still hurts to come in contact with it, much like the abrasions, the bad situations in our lives that have caused us pain, that relationship that didn't end right, or that job that didn't end the way you wanted it to, or those childhood memories that you thought were long since buried, but no, they're not buried, because every time you turn around, you can still see the evidence of it in your mind and in your heart, in the way that you react to people, perhaps even your own children. And then we hold on to these things, these abrasions. We hold on to these memories, to these bad areas of our life. And we believe that they make us stronger. And to a degree, they do make us stronger, but only when we have the ability and the knowledge and the understanding, the wisdom to look at them in the right way, to learn the lessons that come from those bad situations without holding on to the bad parts. And what are the bad parts? The anger, the bitterness, most of all, the unforgiveness. And one of the things that we always say is, I can't forgive this person because it hurts too bad. I can't forgive this person because they don't deserve to be forgiven. I can't forgive this person because of what it's doing to me. Now, I want to put out this public service announcement. I don't pretend to know what it's like to be raped or molested. That's not part of my testimony. All grace be to God, but I understand that some people do, and I pray grace for your lives as well. But I've endured some things in my life that for me have been absolutely and utterly devastating. And I've made those very self-same statements. But I'm at a place now that I'm at a change of heart. You see, somebody told me a long time ago that when you forgive someone, it's not for them per se, but it's for me. The forgiveness is not for the individual who raped you. It's not for the person who molested you. It's not for the boss who fired you unnecessarily. It's not for the person who broke your heart and left you feeling lonely or broken. It's for you. Because with forgiveness leaves room to let the bad things go. A lot of times people hold on to these things. And then the one thing that they say they need more than anything is closure. Maybe the person dies and they never get closure from the situation, or what have you. We never know. But closure seems to be always what people are looking for. The thing I want you to understand is, God revealed this to me today. Your ability to forgive is a sign of closure. Let me say this again. If you are in a situation, if you were dealing with an ache or a pain or a hurt that seems to never die, that seems to never end, that seems to never go away, and really deep down, you're tired of hurting from this thing, you're tired of feeling this pain, because see, what I recognize and I understand is that a lot of times when we hold on to this pain, this bitterness, this anger, all it's doing is tearing you down. Bit by bit, day by day, situation by situation, it's just tearing you down.
9:12 a.m.
And what is the use of holding on to something to inevitably just tear you down day by day when it comes down to it? You say the situation makes you stronger, but strong and bitter is not really the same thing. Strong and confrontational is not really the same thing. Strong and paranoid over every relationship you ever get in, or every job situation you get in, or whatever the case may be. That's not really the same thing. The strength comes in when you're able to recognize the signs of the situation and be able to handle it better than when you did before. And with grace. Not harming anybody per se, but rather being able to handle the situation in such a way that it displays integrity and character and shows that you've matured from the last situation you were in. And what I'm recognizing and understanding what the Lord has been teaching me about this thing is that the evidence of the closure that you need is you being able to forgive. What we got to understand is this. The enemy will use anything and everything to continue to keep that wound open. He wants the wound to stay open because as long as you're in a place of unforgiveness, you're really going against the grain of what the gospel teaches. Some might say it even makes you an enemy of Christ to be unforgiving towards your brothers and sisters, as after all, the word teaches that we should forgive others even as God has forgiven us. So for those of you who say, oh, well, I'm a believer, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus Christ and all of those things like that, but yet you can't, or more accurately, you won't even attempt to forgive someone who has hurt you, who has done you wrong, you're going against the word. And the enemy loves that. He loves to have you in that place of stagnation. He loves to have you in that place of open defiance and rebellion. As long as he can keep you right there, he doesn't really have to fool with you because you're doing the work for him. We have to learn to get past ourselves to really begin to live this life out as God would want us to. And part of that is getting past the emotional response to see what the Spirit would have us to do concerning these things. I'm hurt inside. I don't know what to do, but what would God say I should do? I just lost my job. And I was doing all the work and I was training a bunch of people and somebody else was given the position that was above me. Plus I lost my job. What am I supposed to do about this situation? How am I supposed to feel? Well, ask the Lord how you should feel. But inevitably, it is better for each and every one of us to find the closure that is necessary in forgiving others so that these situations no longer bind us down to the circumstances that ultimately tear us down day by day, circumstance by circumstance. Those things that keep us from moving on into what God truly has for us. Those places that keep us from seeing the blessing that's on the other side of the mess that we're looking at. Because how many of you know that truly every situation that you get yourself into or that you've been brought into has a purpose that on the other side causes you to grow stronger, causes you to become better, causes you to become more wise. There's a blessing on the other side when you're able to learn to forgive and close the chapter on of that particular thing in your life. I understand it's difficult. It's hard to open yourself up to forgiving someone. But isn't it hard going through that pain day after day? Isn't it hard when those memories trouble you and dog you like a ghost night after night and have you crying late in the midnight hour? Doesn't it still hurt to keep poking at that wound? To keep opening it up every time you turn around? As opposed to letting it heal properly? It's better to forgive and heal than to hold on to it and leave that wound open to fester. Because understand this, with the diabetic, if they leave a wound open and it doesn't heal properly, well, with anybody really, but especially with diabetics because it happens quicker, eventually it will gangrene. And then you'll have to have that leg amputated or that body part amputated. The same thing goes in your life. When you let those sores fester and stay open, then it cuts you off from love and good, fruitful relationships. It cuts you off from having good, positive relationships with your children. It cuts you off from having good work relationships that might lead to better income and greater opportunities, or perhaps even a business of your own. So you're really cutting yourself off from life by holding on to pain, by holding on to the bad parts of these incidents. Now, one final thing I want to leave you with is this. I understand that just like with my abrasion, though I see signs that the wound is closing up, though I see signs that the wound is healing, it's still a little tender. It still sometimes hurts to touch. And rightly so, with those situations, it hurts sometimes still, even after you allow yourself to forgive. Even if after you allow yourself to let go of the bad parts. Yes, it's still going to take some time for you to heal. It's going to take some time for the wound to completely close. And how that closure is completed,
9:22 a.m. 2 notification,
is really between you and God. But at least with the process of forgiving others being done, you have the assurance that the wound is beginning to close. And before long, if you just continue to allow it to close and you just continue to move forward, that wound will eventually heal. It'll scab over, the scab will fall off. You might have a little mark on you that shows that you went through something, but at the end, you'll be healed. You'll be whole again. And you'll be ready to get along with your day-to-day activities. You'll be ready to get along with life and be effective and to be able to perform in your relationships and in your jobs and with your children and in your marriage and whatever the case may be. Because why? You allowed yourself to go through the process of healing. And now that you're through healing and you recognize that the abrasion or the sore is done, you're all the more better for it. And you're thankful that you've gone through the process and it's done. And perhaps now you know not to get yourself into certain things or to watch out for certain things so that you don't get an abrasion again. Like open drawers. So it's just my encouragement that you allow yourself to forgive. Forgive others. I know you want to be angry. I know you want to not care for the person or not deal with the person or whatever the case may be, but that's just unfruitful to a degree. No, you don't have to deal with everybody who's wronged you. Absolutely. Some people you have to love from a distance, but the word does require that we love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And it even further tells us that we should love our enemies. And some people, yes, you have to love from afar. Some people you have to love from a distance. You have to keep them, measured out, you know what I'm saying, with a long-handled spoon or what have you. But the thing is, it's better to love and forgive and move on with your life and allow that closure to come than to hold on to the bitterness, the anger, the unforgiveness that keeps you from getting the full benefit of what God has to offer you, to help you heal, to help you get closure, to help you grow and become better at the end of the situation, and also to give you everything that God has got for you, to strengthen you, to fortify you, to bless you, to encourage you, and to show you that He is right there helping you to handle your situations along the way. Remember that Jesus is a burden bearer. He's a heavy load share. So if you take the initiative to get past your emotions, get past your feelings, and do what's right in the Lord's sight, He will be there to help you through. He will send a comforter to help you in those situations and help you to be able to gain perspective, to teach you how to move on after you have decided to do the hard part, which is forgive and move on. Notice I didn't say forgive and forget. Forgive and move on. Some things you can't forget. Some things you won't forget. And it's necessary that you don't forget because there's certain aspects of the situation you need to hold on to so that you can begin to recognize the signs and keep yourself from going through those situations again. But forgive and move on so that by moving on, you're not holding on to those bad things that cause you to be bitter and angry and rueful with other people who don't deserve it, people who have not done you any wrong, people who have not slighted you in any kind of way. You don't have to punish your children for the mistakes that other people have made as you grown up into adulthood and things of that nature. You don't have to talk bad to your bosses or to your coworkers because of the fact of what some other job has done to you. You don't have to talk bad to your significant other, or you don't have to treat your wife or your husband bad because of what the last relationship did. But rather, you can move on with your life and you can grow and become better individually and collectively. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what closure brings you. So I hope that this message just gives you a little bit of insight, gives you a little bit of direction, helps you figure some things out for your life. And I pray that you begin to think about those things that you have not quite yet forgiven others for. And make the steps to ask God to change your heart so that you will be able to forgive these people and thereby gain closure in your life. So so that you can move on and grow. Hey, this is Minister Joseph McGowan. I pray that this message is helpful. God bless you. I love you with the love of Christ, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You take care, get your closure, and get your blessings.
Try again. Facebook. Remote. Try again. Pat. Try again. Try 8. Try again. Enter passcode.
Oh, Lord.
8 5 8 5. JKL. Eight 9 8 9 8. TUV. Pause. Pause. Stop. Button.